Hey Sagittarius, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. General reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. We are doing a traditional tarot read over here on YouTube. And overall, for the reading, we have 7 of emotions. Trying a lot of options, several options, trying to figure out which one you want. Maybe not a lot of options, but it's just the decision-making process, basically. What here do you want? There might be a more obvious answer, the more intuitive you get with the question, but 7 of emotions does bring our attention to the need to think things through, figure out what it is you want. This might be pro-con lists, that kind of thing, using an intellectual approach to what is fundamentally an emotional and intuitive decision. But that whole process is important to go through, the whole decision-making process. So decision-making is what we have here. So over on Vimeo, I'm going to be doing relationship-specific readings. Yeah, and then I just charge a small fee to sort of honor the energy exchange there. So they won't necessarily be extended from what's going on over here, but there'll be traditional tarot spreads over there as well. So past, present, inner landscape, what's the issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. This is really interesting. Some of these cards with Scorpio had these, but I've done several readings in between now and then. So this is totally fresh, but has some similarities as well. And what's interesting too is I had started this reading already and I got 5 of swords. No, 5 of cups. 5 of cups about a grief process, and it shows up here too. So, all right, in the recent past, you have 10 of emotions. So you've known happiness, you've known joy, you've known successful relationships, you've known successful projects. Emotions, this is about with other people, successful emotional well-being with other people, the rainbow after the storm. This always looks like, yay, we did it. We joined forces, we joined our voices together. It always looks like the last night of a theater run or something like that, and they're taking their final bow and they're all happy and they all, they enjoyed the process. It was very successful. Certainly in any kind of production like that, there's ups and downs and, I want to say recastings and any sort of group activity. And by group, I mean anything between 2 people and like 100 or, a much larger group. And often this is depicted as just a couple that's been through a lot of things, but they're happy now and they're okay now. So you've been there before. You've been in the sunshine. You've been in clarity. You've been in happiness. Possibly this is with a relationship, but since it's not a relationship-specific reading, and I'm giving tarot an opportunity to say that, to talk about that later, this could be any kind of relationship. Well, it could be like a romantic relationship for sure, but it could also be like a relationship, a family relationship, work relationship, friendship, something like that as well. But there is emotional happiness. You've known this in the past. This is not like this relationship has been difficult from the beginning. And then you have current situation, Ace of Emotions. So maybe a new relationship coming in here. Or a renewal of a relationship. So we have 10 of emotions, the end completion of an emotional relational process usually, and then Ace of emotions. And what I find interesting is that the 10 of emotions is about having joined forces with someone and gone through some difficulties and been very happy about it. But the Ace of Emotions, so now we have a new beginning sitting right next to it. We have an ending and a new beginning. Well, that's a neat and tidy. Life's not often that neat and tidy. There are a lot of emotions here and a couple voices. So it kind of seems like this might be about communication, emotional communication. So it is like, it's very neat and tidy here. We have an ending, successful completion, and then we have a new beginning on something. A lot of times there's some overlap or some big gaps. So you may have experienced a big gap between the ending of something, but it's a successful ending. It's a completion, a wholeness, that moment in the sun that, the sun shines through the clouds every so often. So that moment. And then we have an Ace of Emotions, new emotions bubbling up. And it looks to me like the new emotions bubbling up, the new feelings are yours and yours alone. They're not part of this group activity. These are yours. And I find that interesting because like let's take our metaphor of a theater production. Each individual within that theater production, that successful production, had a personal process through the whole production and it all began with like, I think I want to audition for that, or I'd like to direct that, or I'd like to see if I could do some set design or something like that. Like every single person had first a solo emotional desire, had a solo desire, and then that all came together and then everyone worked together. So that's what I'm seeing here is a solo desire, like you've had some completion or some happiness with a group, but this desire is unique to you. And I'm seeing it as desire, but it could also be any kind of emotion, any kind of feeling. It could be a new relationship, but even in our new relationships, we're each having individual desires or individual things that we want, what we want and what we desire out of the relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is. So this is just talking about, here's your upwelling, here's your unique individual upwelling, and that may lead to a connection with someone else or with a group or something like that. But first we have the initial upwelling of whatever emotion this is. So that's what you're experiencing. Maybe a new relationship. It could indeed be a new friendship, a new romantic relationship, anything like that. But this is your individual response to something or your unique desire. In your inner landscape, you have strength, the need to, this is funny. I mean, it's not, the strength is inner. This is always talking about inner strength, the inner strength to, tame yourself, control yourself, withstand something. This could be that you're in a relationship and you're feeling very attracted to someone else. And you need to stay, you're wondering, do I have the inner strength to not go towards this thing, or do I have the inner strength to deal with this, this push and pull, this pulling apart? Although we did have completion. But there is a sense of, the strength here is about staying strong and true to your values and true to what you want, right? There are times to go with the flow. There are times to go with, desire and to be impulsive. And then there are other times when we need to stay true. We have a higher goal. We have a higher value. We have something else we want to do, a bigger goal we want to achieve and get to. And that can require some self-discipline. So I see like maybe questions about your self-discipline, questions about if this time you can stick with what you want, stick with something. It's a question I think that you have. Or you may be having to tap into something in order to want to see something through to completion. You're going to have to tap into some inner strength. Maybe you typically bail or run away or something like that, and so you're having to tap into that. This could also, with these emotions here, they're cups, and so I can see like an addiction process or something like that. Like you've achieved some sort of sobriety. Here comes this new temptation or this new thing coming up. It could be temptation coming up or something like that. And then you're like, well, am I strong enough to stick with the overall goal versus, it's so fun and exciting to be impulsive. And so there's a draw there, but I feel like this Ace of Emotions might be a temptation or might be something you're trying to turn away from, might not fit into your overall plan, your larger goals for yourself. This new relationship or new feeling bubbling up in you may require some inner strength. And I think that you're wondering if you do have the strength to see something through all the way. What's at issue here is Queen of Voices in reverse. So this is clear, logical communication, but it's in reverse. So it could be someone, this is typically like my my big witch card. Well, I love witches. So what do we want to call this? You know, for YouTube, it's like a witch, but it's a bad witch. So there's a bad witch card. Someone who can be a little sharp with their tongue, cruel. This can be verbally abusive stuff. This can be someone who can be just incredibly cruel and mean, verbally, a very sharp tongue. Normally our Queen of Voices is she just needs to say what she needs to say. She's got her own truth and she's going to speak it. This is someone, though, that may be lying. They may be not talking to you out of a sense of manipulation and cruelty, not talking to people, not talking to someone because you need a break, not talking to someone because they're just out of sight, out of mind, not talking to someone as self-care. These are some things that are good to consider. But not talking to someone in order to punish them, that's abusive. That's part of emotional and that can be abusive. Not talking to someone, like distancing yourself, can be very different than not talking to someone as a form of punishment or anger or destruction. So do you get what I'm saying? There's like a couple different ways. Like some ways are healthy for you. The other person may not enjoy it, but it's a way to protect yourself. And other ways are a way to punish and hurt and harm someone else. The intent is to harm. So that's whether this queen or whether this person is talking to you or not talking to you, any which way you slice it, it's I don't want to say intent for someone I don't know, or, but it's hurtful. There's some hurtful, either not talking or hurtful talking, communication, or even ideas, really. My Queen of Voices in the reverse is, I don't really like her like that, or him or her, whoever it is. It's about selfishness. It's about control. There could be also something that's very illogical here. And that could be what this is about too, is something that's very illogical. Because she's just trying to be clear and logical to her in the upright. So in the reverse, it could be someone who's just not being very logical. Well, and we have all these emotions up here. So there might be emotions that come up that don't make sense. Like typically in our Ace of Emotions, in our Page of Emotions, we have someone that's like, what is this? So something new and sort of life-giving may be coming in, but there's someone here that's being cruel, self-absorbed. And honestly, cruelty is illogical. Like if we want to logically think about what kind of society we want to live in, and how that would function and how we would get there. Cruelty, lying, all of that is actually quite illogical in most situations. There's a immediate logic, but the long-term logic is lost. And then in your environment, you have the Empress. So you might have a lot of abundance in your environment. You might have a lot of money right now or a lot of time. This could also be a person that is self-confident and in a healthy way. The Empress is usually like talking about healthy abundance, having enough. Your environment, there might be enough in your environment. There might be. The problem isn't lack here. That's not the problem. Maybe this Queen of Voices wants your money and is being very manipulative to try to get it. So this Empress here, though, there's an abundance. The source of abundance is available to you. Whether you see it or not, or know it or not, there is enough in your environment. Your environment is saying, I can sustain you, I can build you, I can create your life. There's someone or some situation here that's very abundant. If this is this is like work that you've done that's really brought in a lot of money. You might have like a new situation now. But here's your to-do list. 3 of Voices. This can go 2 ways. It can either be about facing heartbreak. Like there's a safe enough environment now that you can face some sort of heartbreak from the past. But I could also see it as bringing in some truth that does break someone's heart. Not on purpose, not because this is like someone that wants to, that's enjoying it, that, but this could be like needing to cut someone off, needing to turn the door, or shut the door on someone or something, needing to, because you've got like some cool stuff in here. So it looks like someone may be trying to muck it up a little bit. They might be jealous of you. They might not want you to share your resources with somebody else. This is a little, in a to-do list, this is like, say no to someone, and if they feel hurt about it, that's too bad. I don't think they, you know, I'm hoping this isn't you. This could be you. This could be you being like cruel or giving someone the silent treatment when actually you need to have a clear conversation with them and bring it in. And yeah, is it going to be hard? Yes, it is going to be hard. Yes, it is going to be difficult. This is where you're trying to see if you have the strength. So you might be having to endure someone like this, and have the strength to endure it, or to hold on to your new beginning despite someone trying to sabotage it or being jealous of it or unhappy about it. And you may have to set some boundaries with them and be really clear, and they're not going to like it. They might cry and throw a temper tantrum. This person is going to, they're going to, I want to say, grasp at straws. They're going to do it's anything that they can, anything that they can do to manipulate you. And then that is a sign that you definitely need to put up some good boundaries. And then when you put up those boundaries, you need to know that that's going to trigger this person to like really grasp at straws for their arguments, their debates about why you need to like give them your money, or why you need to give them your attention, or why you need to be more involved with them. But it's literally how people respond to you setting up boundaries will almost always reaffirm why you had to set them up to begin with, and maybe even why you postponed until you were feeling strong enough to do it. Because how they respond, someone that needs you to put up better boundaries and to strengthen your defenses against them, is someone that you already know is not going to respond well to that. So this is why you're looking at you're looking for some inner strength to do this, to say this, to have this confrontation. It might be a confrontation. It might be just like a few words to just say, hey, you know what, you are overstepping your boundaries here. This is my money. This is my time. This is my life. And I'm going to make these decisions. They are going to be heartbroken, and we can have some sympathy for that. But as far as like the ways they're going to use, the manipulations they'll be using in order to get you to, in order to break down this door and break down your barriers so that they can have things the way they want them, the way they always have had them. So it's not necessarily that this is like an evil person, but this is a person that, I mean, we all want what we want, but this is a person that doesn't have a lot of like they're gonna keep going until you say no, basically. This is someone who's gonna continue to deplete you, control you, whatever, until you have to put up the barriers, right? The takers are gonna continue taking until the givers figure out how to shut a door on them. So, and you know, you don't have to have a long conversation with this person. You don't have to have a big argument. You can just say your piece and leave. You know, like, I'm done with this. I don't want this anymore. You know, the way you're communicating to me is not healthy for me, or anything like that. And they will whine and complain. Anyone you have to put up, you know, most people can like read boundaries or whatever. Oh, you didn't like that. A lot of people can do that. But if you have to put up a stronger boundary, if you have to shut a door in someone's face because they're being so rude and obnoxious, if you have to do that, that person isn't going to respond well. So just know that. And I think that's why you're looking for the inner strength. The reason why we postpone putting up boundaries and stuff like that is because we know exactly how they're going to respond. I mean, maybe not down to the word, although I have been able to predict down to the word how this person's going to respond when I'm like, nope, this is enough. You've taken enough. You've said enough. I'm done with this. And then there's like almost like a checklist that people go through, like you misunderstood, you're lying, that never happened, you're overreacting, all sorts of gaslighting stuff. And I swear to God, some of these people have like a checklist or something that they were given of like things to go through, toxic responses to someone saying, I don't like what you said to me. Like, it's so funny. But then you're like, oh yeah, and that's why I didn't mention it on the camping trip, because we were out in the wilderness and I didn't want to deal with this when I couldn't get away. So now I'm telling you. So that's a little bit of what you might have to set up some boundaries. This person's going to be hurt by this. Expect a not great response, but this is why you're mustering your inner strength. And you've got some cool new thing coming in here that this person may be wanting to muck up. So yeah. And possible outcome, a lot of communication. They may like, look at this one's like striding forward, marching in. They may try to march in with a lot of communication. This could be someone that like blows up your phone with texts if you try to put up a boundary, but that just goes to show how necessary the boundary actually was. So yeah, there could be, you trying to put up a boundary could result in a lot of attempted communication, but it could also result in some communication with this new thing and some moving forward for you, like shutting this door and moving forward, and then having like that be able to go faster, smoother, and more communication. And maybe like, hey, maybe this is like a toxic ex. I don't really like calling people toxic because I think everybody has moments of toxicity. But that doesn't mean that they as a whole are toxic or always toxic or can't learn or can't heal from that. But if this person is in a toxic state, trying to, get at your abundance and get at, like, you might have a cool thing going right now and they want to destroy it. So and you'll have to put up a boundary. Yeah, and this could help move the new situation forward. And the Seven of Emotions is like trying to make a decision. So if you were trying to make a decision about whether or not this person was someone you wanted to continue dealing with, the advice is they are not someone that you want to continue dealing with. And you will find that out when you try to distance yourself from the person. So there could be a lot of communication coming in. They could blow up your phone, or this new thing, this new relationship or new thing that you have going could move forward much more smoothly and much more quickly without the interference of this person coming in here and telling you, what's up and what you need to do. And yeah, so there could be movement forward for you in this new situation the more you distance yourself. So I'm pulling these Sacred Forest Oracle cards as chiromancy or synchronicity cards, but they also usually like contribute to the story we're talking about here. If you don't know who this Queen of Voices is, this might not be your reading. Like, you would know. Like, I'm thinking of like 3 Queen of Voices from my past. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what that describes that situation perfectly. This is too many. Yeah, well, I didn't do it in a very, it's kind of my problem. Oh, look at this, Storm Spirit Chaos. That's what I'm seeing here with this Queen of Voices, is that they could be creating chaos, and when you try to cut it out, they're going to create more chaos. But that's why you're waiting for this inner strength, have the strength to do this. So Storm Spirit Chaos. So there could be a storm. If the storm or some lightning comes through, we do have changes of seasons happening right now all over the globe, actually. So there could be a spring storm or a fall storm, some lightning. But also this can relate to this Queen of Voices. I think this chaos actually is about that. You could be unleashing some chaos and you know it. That's why you're over here. Okay. Spirit Guardian of Spring activation. So if you see a maypole, some fairies, daffodils, and we have a swan here. Activation. Okay, so you might, but also as it relates to the story, it might be like, it's time for you to take action on something that you know you need to do to deal with this chaotic situation. And we have water spirit manifesting dreams. So otters here. If you see some otters, that might be a good indication. But we also have manifesting dreams, doing the work you need to do. There's a cool new beginning here, but you're going to have to like cut someone out of it or set up some boundaries. And there is work to be done here as you move. Yeah, it's time to get moving. Time to get going. Get to work. Time to get to work. And then we have maple spirit, so a maple tree. And this one, look, it's red. It's going to start losing its leaves. Or giving its leaves. It's going to start giving its leaves. So maple spirit, and I love the maple syrup idea here. Like when you tap a maple tree, that raw syrup before it gets cooked down can rush out. Can it? That's my impression. Anyway, that's the impression I've never tapped a maple tree, honestly, so I don't know for sure from personal experience. Maybe it just depends on if you hit it at the right time. No, they can't rush out because like they leave them overnight. Anyway, feeling generous, being generous, especially if you have to hurt someone's feelings, you know, you're in the power position here, so be a little, but if it's boundaries, don't be too generous. So a maple tree, maple leaves, and then elves, playfulness. So if you see elves, this one has come out a lot with these readings. Elves, playfulness, a blue dress, a comet, butterflies, a crescent moon, and then frog spirit, renewal. So if you see a frog, this can be like a sign for you. It's also like leaps forward, leaps of faith. There's lotuses here too, and a green dress. So, well, let's just call it clothing so that we can not necessarily like over prescribe who's wearing what, but some sort of dark blue clothing and some sort of green. Well, that's a little too general. Anyway, frogs leaping forward, leap frogs, lily pads, lotuses, and renewal. I mean, in some ways, like some people actually, you know, they might have a hard time with boundaries and with you setting boundaries at first, but they can come around. There are people that can do that. There might be like a lot of shame that directs their response to you setting boundaries, and that shame can create a lot of chaotic behavior. But once that settles, and they realize what's at stake, they might be able to come around. I wouldn't hold my breath, because if they were super into boundaries and respecting your boundaries, they would have done that by now. But some people can do that. So, and here's our prayer. Busy beaver, motivation, cooperation, efficiency. Oh, this is a little bit of ripping off the Band-Aid, efficiency, I think. Builder of sturdy and stable structures, teach me your tenacious way. Oh, stick with it. This could also be setting good boundaries for something new, maybe a new relationship. And you've already noticed that they can be a little bit like mean or direct. And so setting a good boundary with that could help you set a good foundation for something that's new, something that you've just begun, setting a good foundation. Yeah, but I like this. Teach me your tenacious way. Stick with something. Oh, yeah. If you're going to set boundaries, you have to stick with them. Otherwise, it's confusing for everybody involved and you don't end up. You might feel like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't. Okay. Oh, this time is. No. If you're going to go through all this struggle to muster your strength to do this, to shut this door, to reveal these truths, stick with them or else you just make the problem worse. So. All right, I hope that was helpful for me. Join me, helpful for you. Join me over on Vimeo if you'd like. If not, I'll talk to you in a month. Bye.